Hi everybody, this is Melissa, your free range psychic. Happy New Year! It's 2023. Happy 2023. I'm releasing this video at the top of the hour as we come into the new year. I thought it would be fun instead of waiting until later today or later this morning. Obviously, I've taped this earlier, but I know I had said I was going to do a video on 2023, predictive video, but I decided to change my mind. I've already done a predictive video on 2023 regarding the economy, and I will do one for each month in tarot later on. But what happened was that when I was looking at my YouTube feed, this video kept on popping up on Magda Goebbels. I think it's called Magda Goebbels, First Lady of Nazi Germany. And I felt like it was being brought to my attention. And then it occurred to me that Magda resembled Ivanka. And then I thought, no, this can't be. But I asked my guides and they said, yes, it is Ivanka's former incarnation. And I started researching and, comparing the photographs and then looking at the life history, and there's so many similarities. So that is what I'm going to present to you today, and nothing is set in stone, but this is the narrative that my guides told me. This is what they are showing me, and it's kind of fascinating. I'm going to just read from, I have Magda Goebbels' life history from Wikipedia up on my phone. I'm just really going to glance at that and give you some facts. Really watch the video. Again, I'm going to link it in my description box on Magda Goebbels. It's really, really interesting. She was born in 1901 in Berlin, Germany. Her mother and father were not married. Their names were August Berand and Oscar Reichel. Oscar Reichel was a building contractor. They were married later that year, but divorced sometime in 1904, 1905. And she was sent to stay with her ex-husband when she was, Magda was, when she was 4-ish. In 1908, her mother married Richard Friedlander, a wealthy Jewish merchant, and whose surname she adopted. Magda was enrolled in Ursuline convent in Vivacord. However, she was not raised as a Jew. She was raised as a Catholic. And then she later on, she never converted to Judaism, but she did become very good friends with a Jewish Ukrainian woman whose brother she became involved with and had this passionate affair in, I believe, 1908. Oh, wait a minute, that's too young. in 1918 or something like that, she fell in love with a man. His name was Chaim, and he was all into Zionism and securing a Jewish state. And they never married or anything, but that was a early love for her. So in 1920, she was returning home from school on a train, and she met this man. His name was Gunther Quandt. He was a rich industrialist, twice her age. He courted her and then finally married her and demanded that she change her surname back to Ritschel when converting from Catholicism to Quandt's Protestantism. They were married January 4th, 1921, and their first child, Harald, spelled Harald, was born on November 1st, 1921. So this marriage was not great, and Magda apparently became frustrated with his focus on business and, of course, the age gap. So they had 6 children. Harold Quandt's 2 sons from her prior marriage and 3 children of a deceased friend. So she didn't have those children, but she acquired them through this marriage. And she wasn't happy with that either. It's a lot of work for a young girl. So I guess here it says they go on a 2-month trip to the United States, and Quandt discovers Magda's been having an affair, so they separate and get divorced. But the terms were really generous for Magda, so she could do whatever she wanted. She had limitless resources. She was very well off at the end of that marriage. So in 1930, she's now attending Nazi party meetings, and she's really impressed by one of the speakers, Joseph Goebbels, who was then I talked about this in my video on him, the Gauleiter of Berlin, maybe the person who oversees executions. She joins the party and then does volunteer work. And then she moves to the party headquarters in Berlin. For a brief period of time becomes secretary to Goebbels' deputy. And Goebbels now is taking an interest in Magda, and they become romantically involved. To the point where by 1931, in that winter, they begin making plans for the future. Or by April, I'm sorry. Goebbels wrote in his diary, "We have made a solemn vow to each other. When we have conquered the Reich, we will become man and wife. I am very happy." So by September, they start experiencing problems. He's often jealous and has some concern over the fact that Hitler, who is obviously part of this group, and I believe I either in that video I mentioned or I read that Magda started having these Nazi organization meetings in her flat or maybe their premises. I'm not sure whether she already had started doing that before she married Goebbels or not, but she becomes very well acquainted with Hitler, and they have this infatuation with one another. And there's a lot of the observation that people say, or were speculating that they were in love with each other. And it's Hitler who, when Magda becomes pregnant, we're thinking with Goebbels' baby, but I speculate that it was Hitler's baby. I want to say spidey sense with how things go on in the future with Magda and Hitler, and how much Hitler wanted her to marry Goebbels right after she became pregnant, or the knowledge of that kind of rose to the surface. That would have been very handy, for Hitler and Magda to keep their love affair private, because he wanted to remain a bachelor. He did not want to be seen with a romantic partner. Even Eva Braun, he only married her at the very end, just before they committed suicide. But he can keep Magda close to his side, and he becomes extremely close to her children, especially her older daughter, her eldest daughter. And I included that picture, and there's more of them. You can look for them where when Hitler and Goebbels are in that frame with Magda. There's another picture I found later on. You can see that Hitler or Adolf and Magda together with the little girl. But then Goebbels is on the other side of that. And Hitler's right in between. And he loves this little girl. He takes walks with her, and he loves all her children. He provides extremely well for them. And Magda is one of his closest female friends. And the marriage between Joseph and Magda continues to deteriorate to the point where, and they're often arguing or seen arguing, but he goes off and he has long affairs or long-term affairs with various women, and especially one whom he falls deeply in love with. She's a German actress. And there are also speculations that he was bisexual. But Magda is also having affairs at the same time with other men. And so this marriage is not made in heaven, but the propagandists, and Joseph Goebbels, is it Goebbels? I'm always confused about how to pronounce his name. He is the head of, the propaganda ministry. So that marriage is very much used as an instrument of propaganda for the face of the Nazi Party, and she has been called the First Lady of the Nazi Party. And that is also because Hitler hears without a mate, and Magda becomes the surrogate mate. She becomes the surrogate female representative, the diplomat, the one who takes that role that a First Lady would take. And she becomes like the icon of German women, what German women should ascribe to and achieve. And at that time, just like the GOP now, they're wanting women to stay at home and to be the second sex and to be weaker than men and to be, fertile and have babies to increase the race. That was exactly what the German Nazi or the Nazi Party of Germany was trying to socialize women to do. That was what they wanted women to do. Women were encouraged to stay home and have babies and be fertile and be providers. And Magda was the face of that. And Magda had all these beautiful children. And that was what Nazi women should subscribe to, because that was considered a sacred duty, because they wanted to expand the Aryan race and eliminate the other non-Aryan races. So yeah, women were important for that, to be vehicles of procreation. That's fascinating. It's so interesting because they're presented ostensibly, Goebbels and his wife are this loving, wonderful couple, but behind the scenes, not so much. And this relationship, they do want to divorce, I think, but what happens is Hitler is against it. He's against divorce. He wants to present this picture of strong, family loyalty and unbreakable marriages. So they're not allowed to divorce or separate. They have to appear to be a whole, a strong union. So Magda is interesting. She loves the role, I believe, of playing that part and being an ambassador in her way for Hitler and for the party. And she is someone who is, even though she was in love with a Jewish man and she was adopted by a Jewish man, apparently she really doesn't do anything to help the Jews when it comes down to that point where Jews are being sent off to concentration camps, etc. She becomes passive. She's not concerned with helping them out. It's not her It's not her concern. So during this time, there's a lot of affluence, and Hitler's extremely generous to the Goebbels, and she lives in luxury, and she's really like at the highest pinnacle of German society. But then when the fortunes change and Germany begins to lose, and then things become really dire, and then, the reality of the situation becomes clear, and they have to think of what to do. Should we run away or should we stay? And Hitler chooses to stay and kill himself in the bunker. That is something that Goebbels or Joseph and Magda decide to do too. And it's pretty horrific at the end. Part of the reasoning I've read was because they think that, like with royal families, European royal families, it's not a good end for the children either. There's some extreme ramification, although I'm not sure if that would have been true in this case. It's better that they all die, and there's different stories about how those children died, but the one that I believe is the most accepted is that Magda and Joseph give their children maybe a combination of cyanide and morphine, and then they have one of their staff kill them. They would have died already, but I guess the custom was then to be shot to death or something, or murdered by blunt force trauma. I'm not sure exactly. You could research and see how they died. But their bodies, nobody knows where their bodies are. And then Joseph and Magda take cyanide and then have somebody kill them. And they're shot to death. And then their bodies disappear too. But there are photographs of their bodies and their children. So that's the end of Magda's life. Now, Ivana, born Ivanka, but called Ivana because her mother's name is Ivana, and Ivanka means little Ivana, I believe. Ivanka Marie Trump. She's born October 30th. I think it's 1981. Ivanka's the second born, with Donald being the Jr. being the first. And then she grows up living a pretty wealthy life, although there's divorce there too for her. Donald divorces Ivanka and then marries, what's her name? Tiffany's mother. And the actress, I don't know where her name's, I should have written her name down, Marla Maples, sorry. And then, of course, divorcing Marla and marrying Melania. So it's such a traumatic, that's not an easy life, no matter how wealthy you are. If your parents divorce, and if the divorces are acrimonious, and your father is somebody who is just beyond your reach. Now, in terms of his love, you can see if Ivanka, I looked at pictures of her as a young girl, and she's so much wanting to be loved by her father, and then you look at some of those photographs and they seem kind of inappropriate in the way he is with her, and he's obviously very proud of her, but it's a little looks a little incestuous to me, just emotionally. He idealizes her, and the more beautiful she is, the more she reflects his light, or he reflects her light, or whatever, and that continues to be a very, very close relationship. She is I didn't write down where she goes to school, but I did write down that she got her bachelor's of economics from the Wharton School that's adjunct at the University of Pennsylvania, and she did very well there. And then that's she stopped there for her degrees. But it seems from that point she's continually building off her father, or there's, her fashion businesses, clothes, purses, shoes. She does help with some of his projects, and she's one of his brands, really. That's what I see Ivanka as, one of the Trump brands. And she becomes an ambassador also for her father. And then when he becomes president, do you remember how odd that was, that instead of Melania traveling with him, it was Ivanka who traveled with him, and Ivanka who met with the diplomats. Ivanka was his vanguard, his diplomat, his first lady. And we talked about that, remember? So that's very much the relationship she had with him. But here she is married to a Jewish man, Jared Kushner, and she only had a few other romances before then that I could see. And their relationship, I think it was Noel Castler, who's this wonderful political comedian. He has a podcast, and he's full of information. He's kind of he did a lot of work for various administrations creatively regarding rallies and whatever, and he knows all these stories from kind of the in crowd. And he said that they were going to break up, that they weren't getting along very well, and Ivanka didn't think it was going to work out, but then there was some kind of intervention, and what is that story? Somebody, was it the ex-wife of Rupert Murdoch, who comes in, or one of them? He had a lot of ex-wives, and I don't remember. She's from China. She came in and she met with, I could be wrong about this, but somebody like that came in, met with Ivanka, took a cruise with her, and said, "Look, honey, we need you to marry Jared, because it's beneficial for us, the Republicans, the GOP, the wealthy oligarchs, etc. So you're going to do this thing." And then when she came back from that trip, ostensibly she got back together with Kushner. But that's just a little story. And it's a little bit weak with my telling, because I can't remember. I think it was that woman. Her name was Wendy Murdoch. I think it was her. Anyway, so they got together. And I've always thought with Ivanka and Jared that that marriage was an arranged marriage. There were reasons that it benefited Trump, and it benefited his cohorts, and it consolidated something. She married because she was supposed to marry, and I think all their marriages are like that. All the kids marry only with the blessing of their father. And I have speculation about that marriage too. I don't really know how close they are. And here you have Ivanka having all these three kids with Jared, and you just wonder. I don't really think that marriage is based on love, but it's a very lucrative marriage. What they made, all those billions of dollars, and throughout Trump's presidency, Ivanka is part of this, very much part of the veneer, and not just a veneer, but she is the advisor. She becomes the advisor to the president, and profits. Even though you can see the money she gives away in charity, etc., she profited far more. But then at the end of his presidency, she pulls away, right? She starts pulling away from Trump. And it's interesting because I did read that Magda pulled away from Hitler in a way. They were always close and intimate, but she did have criticisms of him. So that was surprising to read. But she never really broke with him. And here you see Ivanka having criticisms of Trump. And now she doesn't really want to have much to do with him. She's really pulling away. And I don't think Trump's very happy with that. I think he probably feels betrayed and wonders, what she's told the DOJ and the January 6th committee. But that very last picture I included in the montage was, because we forget, Ivanka always looks so innocent, but we forget that she was there watching it with her father. She was right there. And that photograph is powerful to me because it just shows the truth about Ivanka. Okay, so in the reading, my guides, and I'm using the Ciro Marchetti Gilded Tarot for the reading, and then we do have an oracle card at the end. Both Magda and Ivanka are Queen of Wands, powerful women. They work through their will. They are ambitious. They're both ambitious. And somewhat, I want to say narcissistic, but narcissistic in a more passive way, not kind of a out there and malevolent on the surface like Trump or Hitler, but more behind the scenes here, using their influence and sway. Above is the devil, so both of them, they're really, their identities, my guides say, are usurped by the men in their lives. And this is Ivanka and Donald Trump, or this is Adolf Hitler and Magda Goebbels, and also Jared Kushner, and these men, they're kind of merged and doing the service of the devil, and their identities are usurped by these men. In the past, for Magda, this is the end of her life, and the gist of her life, which is being lifted up, the lovers here, by, and I believe this is not Goebbels, this is Adolf Hitler, and she is in love with him, and she is lifted up by him. See, her heart is connected to this light. She gets her light from him. She would have been in obscurity had she not come into his realm, and now the lovers affords her this prominence, and this is also her service to him. And it's a quid pro quo transactional relationship, but there is a fire between them. And sorry to say, but because sounds somewhat incestuous, but for Ivanka and Donald, her father Donald is this strong soldier who's lifting Ivanka up, and Ivanka certainly has ambitions to be president, and she's spoken of it. And her access to wealth and fame and etc. is through her father, and she's kind of melded to her father. And this has been the relationship for a very, very long time. She, the dutiful daughter, the one whose beauty and whose grace and whose ability to be a swan, as reflected and adored and loved by her father, and also utilized. Underneath, this is an interesting card. They gave me the Three of the Three of Wands upside down. This is a card, they say, of the diplomat. Their role, which was really a feminine role for Magda behind the scenes, but she's still in her role as a prominent female, as the first lady. And this is reversed because of using it for nefarious purposes. But I can, even in this guise, she is that is her function in this, in the dynamics of the power of either, the Reich or Nazi society, etc., or to the rest of the world. And there's a lot of propaganda footage of Magda. I was watching. In the future, now the future is the end of the past life for Magda in this case, and then the coming in the future for Ivanka, and this is the Tower. So this very much is Magda falling out of the tower at the end of the war. Her whole life of affluence and of influence and being part of this extremely powerful government and movement, where she really probably could have anything she wanted, do anything she wanted. She was a queen. Now it's defeated. The Germans are defeated, and Germany itself is being bombed, and she has to take her children with her husband into the bunker. Or I don't think she was in bunkers. I think it was in a garden near where the bunkers were, and murder her children. Now for Ivanka, what's coming up for her, I believe, is she's not out of the woods. She can try to distance herself as much as she wants, but this is more investigation. This is more testimony. These are consequences. And I've never really seen Ivanka going to jail, but there's a devastation coming here, and she is trying to escape it, but she won't be able to. She was very much part of it, right? As we will see, the clarifying card is for Pentacles, and this is a big motivation for money, for material wealth, somebody who's greedy, somebody who's wanting to keep everything for themselves. And we know that both Ivanka and Magda, well, we know for sure about Ivanka, but Magda also was very greedy and wanted and tried to, and just like the majority of the Nazis, right, and the GOP, amassing wealth. And this could, this looks like Jared to me too. His, how much was it? 20 billion or 200 billion, whatever he got from the Saudis. Money is very, very important to Ivanka. And to be a magnet, not just have a big bank account, but, she wants to be a force in the world. She wants to be her own oligarch. The future card coming up, well, for Magda, this is the Ten of Swords. And yes, we can see the devastation. Obviously, it was a horrific way to end a life, and to have to murder, not to have to, but to choose to, murder your own children. And in such a brutal way, it just boggles imagination. It's a horror story of itself. And for Ivanka, it is the ending of her brand, and I feel like she's going to be really limited. She's not going to, she thought she was going to become president of the first female president of the United States. No, that is not possible now. So she's going to pay for her karma in her own way. Okay, that was my past life reading on Ivanka Trump as the possible reincarnation of Magda. And I know I've been saying the pronunciation of this last name two ways, but whichever is correct, Goebbels or Goebbels. I'll choose Goebbels for now as Magda Goebbels. And I'm wrong one way or the other, so it's okay. I'm going to now read us our Oracle card for the new year. And the card is from the Sacred Destiny deck by Denise Lynn. And New Beginnings is our Oracle card. New beginnings. The sacred landscape wants you to know your life is expanding in profound and wonderful ways. New experiences and ideas are emerging. Vitality and wide open opportunities are at hand. Seize the day. This is a perfect time to bridge that new project, begin that new project or give birth to an emerging idea. Timing is everything, and the time is now. Anything and everything is possible. Good fortune awaits you. The rising sun is the ultimate symbol of the young principle of expanding power and activity. You are radiant and luminous. There's a glow within you that can be felt by all. New beginnings. So saying that, again, I want to wish everybody Happy New Year. I am available for personal readings, anything past life, anything in your present, past and future in this life. I'm a medium and I love to introduce you to your guardian angels. My information is in the description box below and at the end of the musical interlude that's coming up. Please take care. I love you. I will see you next week. I just wish the best for you for this new year. Love, light, and all things possible for you, please. Take care. Bye. Bye-bye. Happy New Year.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to